Hello and welcome to a marathon writing session. Today is going to be really interesting, or I should say tonight. I am going to try and write for a very long period of time, and the goal is to see how many words I can write this evening. It is currently 7 o'clock. I will start to write after I finish talking to you, and I will not stop until I am so tired I cannot write anymore. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Stephanie, and I'm writing a book for the very first time with no prior writing experience. The goal tonight is to try a different kind of writing routine. I typically write for 1 to 2 hours in the evening, and then I am very strict about my bedtime routine. I stop writing between 10 and 10:30. I get ready for bed. I have a wind down routine. I always get 8 hours of sleep. I'm very, very adamant about 8 hours of sleep. And so even on the weekend, when I don't really have anywhere to be the next morning, I still go to bed by 11 p.m. just so I can stay in my natural sleeping rhythm. However, I need to change it up a little bit. Long story short, I have a personal project going on. And because of that, it is taking more time away from my writing. And I've really noticed it over the last week where I just don't have enough time to write. Usually on the weeknights, I try to write for an hour, and lately it's been like a half hour. Even last night, I think it was a Friday night, I usually write around 1,000 to 2,000 words on a Friday night, and I think I wrote like 700. And I typically write a lot during the weekends, like I'll write in the afternoon and then I'll write in the evening. And now, for example, I had stuff to do all day long for this project and I didn't have time to write, and the only time I have is tonight. So I'm trying to figure out how can I get my writing time in if I can't write during my normal times. And one idea I had today was, what if I stay up really late and write? What I have found is, because I always stop myself at, like, we'll say 10:30, by 10:30, I still am in the mental state where I could keep going. Like, I'm not tired, I'm not running out of steam. It's just, I make myself stop because I have to go to bed. So I was kind of curious, what happens if I don't make myself stop? What happens if I stop naturally? How long would I write? How many words would I write? Would I be really productive? I don't know, and so I wanted to explore this a little bit. My goal is really the exploration of this and to find out if this is a feasible option for me in the future, because my personal project is probably going to go on for a few months. So if there's a way to work around it, like doing this, for example, where I write for several hours tonight, then it's worth trying. It's 7 o'clock now, so 8, 9, 10, 11. So I could write for at least 4 hours tonight, maybe 5 or 6. Depending on how late I go. And that's a lot. I don't think I've ever sat down and written for that long. And so I'm curious to know if I can physically do it or mentally do it. I'm not sure, but I do want to try. And of course, I'm going to take breaks. I may try and take a break like every 1 to 1.5 hours. And it could be something as simple as getting a snack, doing some stretches, washing the dishes. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I do want to get off the couch and kind of give myself a break so I don't get burned out in such a short period of time. So before we get started, I wanted to share with you something special that happened with me relating to writing. It's really fun, and I just wanted to share with you because I thought it was a nice little coincidence in my day. So I was going through my personal effects and I came across this folder that says horses. Now, obviously, I drew this when I was like in elementary school because these are some really fat horses, okay? But one thing immediately drew my eye, and that was this red paper sticking out of the folder. When I was in elementary school, I did a research project on the planet Jupiter. I was really into the solar system at that time. And so I immediately knew this was like school projects that my parents had saved. And so I was going through the various school projects. There weren't a lot, I do want to say, and I came across this one, which I never remembered. I remember the Jupiter report to this day. I don't remember this at all. But it's a letter, and I'm going to cover up some information here. It says, "This is your prize for being chosen from your class to enter the school's Young Author Contest. Congratulations." Now, I thought this was honestly so bizarre because I have said over and over again, I have never had any prior writing experience. I've never wanted to be an author. I never took writing classes. I didn't do anything related to writing until up about a year ago when I started this whole authortube and writing a book journey. And then I came across this, which I don't know what grade this was. There's no year attached to it, so I'm not really sure when this was. And I don't remember the teacher, so but it had to be elementary school because everything in here is from elementary school. And I wrote a little short story called The Sleepover, which was a story about my best friend sleeping over at my house. I was entered into an author contest. I mean, don't get me wrong. This was a little school thing. It wasn't, it wasn't any like a really big deal. But the fact that I found this out of like the maybe 5 things my parents had kept from my entire time in elementary school, it just meant something to me that to see this now as I am going through this journey, it was just really amazing for me. It was nice and I wanted to share it with you because it was really cool, and I hope you appreciate that diversion from writing for just a little bit. Okay, I am ready to start writing. I have got to get in the zone. I've got to figure out exactly what to write. So I'm finishing up a scene, and once I finish that, this is the scene that I wanted to pull forward into the story. And I think what I'm going to do next is write kind of what they do up until they go to the scene I already wrote. I know this is confusing. If you haven't been watching my videos, I apologize. But there's not a better way to explain it. What I am doing now is finishing up a series of scenes that happen in a particular location, and I'm almost done. I really feel like there's maybe like 2 chapters left, so it should be pretty easy to finish tonight. Then I'm gonna get really into the plot of the book and the characters, like making discoveries, getting to know each other, all this stuff. And so it'll be fun to write. Well, I don't wanna waste any more time, so let's let the marathon begin. So it's time for a halfway checkup. I say halfway. I don't know if it's halfway, but I'm gonna assume it kind of is. It's about 9:30. I've been writing for almost 2 hours now, and I'm starting to get kind of tired. I've taken some small breaks, like getting up and walking to the other side of the house or putting something away, but I haven't really taken like a mental break yet, and I think I'm gonna do that now. I am starting to get tired. And I think it's just because I was really active today and I'm just physically tired. Also, because of that, I think like mentally I'm not fully checked in, which is unfortunate because I feel like if I was fully checked in, I would be putting out a lot more words. I've written 1,600 words so far in about 2 hours. Not spectacular, but it's acceptable. I'm going to get a snack just to take a break. And then I'll get back to writing, and then I'll probably do some stretching, work that in between my writing. I still don't know how late I'm gonna write yet. I decided to skip ahead a little bit and work on a scene that's a few scenes ahead, just because I have a really clear idea on that scene and what's supposed to happen. And because I want to write so many words tonight and be really productive, I felt like my best use of time is to write a scene that I can write really fast. I'd rather write a scene that I already know really fast and get a lot of words out tonight than to kind of sit around and struggle with what do I write next. I'm getting tired already. This is unfortunate. I'm gonna go get my snack so I can get back to writing in a little bit. Well, it is quite late, later than I thought I would stay up, honestly. It is almost 12:30 a.m., which means I wrote for 8, 9, 30, 5 hours straight, which to me is pretty insane. I've never sat down for that long and written. I did take some breaks, and it was very helpful to take breaks because my legs were getting tired from sitting like in the same position. And I tried to switch positions on the couch, but just kind of doing the same motion for 5 hours does get a little tiring on your body. Also, I noticed like around 11 p.m., I'll be honest, my brain started to shut off. It was a lot harder for me to form good prose. I would say the same words over and over, and when I wanted to vary my vocabulary, I literally could not think of other words. I was like Googling other words or like, what does this word actually mean? My mind was just starting to shut off. I just had a really hard time making my sentences flow, and I knew what my characters needed to do, the things they needed to say, but I was just really, towards the end, I was really struggling. So I think this was productive. I did kind of get like a second wind around 11:30, and I wrote a lot of words in that last hour. And that's primarily because it was a portion of the scene that I knew really well. I've played it over in my head several times. So I knew pretty much exactly what was going to happen. And I think that made my writing go a lot faster. But I did slow down, and like my eyes are really tired. They've got that tired feeling. And my fingers are a little tired as well from all the typing. And I think it's just because it's 12:30 at night and my body is like, hey, you're usually asleep by now. So with that being said, let me talk word counts. Today I wrote 4,183 words. That's fantastic. I'm so proud of myself. And I am at a total of 58,152 words. So is this a good approach for me in the future? I think yes and no. I believe that if I have the time and I'm willing to stay up late, it's probably worth doing. Like I said, I wrote 4,000 words today. In most days, like on a Saturday or Sunday, I don't even get 4,000 words if I'm just writing throughout the day. I usually get around 2,000. So by getting 4,000 words today, I got more than I normally do with my regular writing routine. So it was technically more productive. However, I am not entirely sure that my writing was as good as it usually is. And that could be the kind of flip side problem, is that, yeah, I'm writing a lot more, but my writing just isn't as good. And I could tell as I was writing, like I said, I was having problems forming sentences and words. And I just, several times I was like, oh, I need something else in between like these two paragraphs, but I just couldn't mentally figure it out. Now that I think of it, because of what I did today, I think this would work really well if I had a scene that I knew, like instead of just trying to write the book where I'm like, okay, the characters need to go do this and they need to do this, and then I make it up as I go, which happens a large majority of the time. There are a few scenes in this book that I've thought about for months, and this was one of them. So if I can kind of save those scenes where I know what the dialogue is, I know what actions are happening, I pretty much wrote the entire scene. I did stop, it's not completely finished, but I wrote a significant portion of the scene. So if I save those big like things I've thought of and save them for these 4,000 and 5,000 word count blocks of time, I think that's a good use, because I don't need a lot of mental space to write these scenes that I've already kind of mentally prepared. I don't think it would be good if I am not quite sure what the characters are doing, because when I was trying to finish up the last scene earlier today, I was struggling a little bit because I was trying to end it. I wasn't really sure how to end it, and I think in the first hour, I only wrote like 700 words. I think that's how I gotta go. It's just, if I do these big blocks plan, I'm just rambling. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling. I'm ready to go to bed. Also, you can probably hear it. My voice feels really like gravelly. I don't know. Anyway, overall, I am considering this a success. I wrote over 4,000 words, which is very rare for me on any occasion. So I'm really happy with that. And I was happy to try like a new little writing routine and a new way to do it. And I think it's always good to experiment, because you never know if you'll find something new that works really well for your writing.